Well, another spring ball in the books here at South Dakota State University, defending national champions, wrapping things up about a week ago up here in Brookings with their annual spring game, and head coach Jimmy Rogers joining me now to talk about that. And Jimmy, coaches always look at spring ball as a time to get guys reps and develop guys and see who's going to be available to you that can really contribute, maybe even more so than they have in the past when it starts to get real in the fall. So as you assess that now from your bird's eye view, having the advantage of having all that video and all those things to look at now, reasonably pleased at least with what you guys were able to accomplish in that few weeks?
Yeah, I feel like we the overall goal was to leave healthy. We had no serious injuries leaving spring ball, but with the amount of guys that have left, we knew we had talent. It's just getting those guys acclimated and getting them reps. And the spring was huge for a lot of them because they developed quite a bit, just not only in the weight room, but mentally just regaining their knowledge of getting back to the playbook. And so a huge plus. We feel really good about the talent. You know, it's just developing the experience and trying to do that as good as we can in the short term before we get to play here in the fall.
Oh, you talked about the guys that left, and just on the offensive side of the ball, you're looking at Davis, McCormick, Greenfield, Yaki, Hines. I mean, that's a pretty daunting list to look at in terms of what you've lost in terms of production, but that's part of the name of the game in college football, certainly, and in college athletics as a whole. So how have you approached that part of it in terms of, you know, trying to figure out how to fill those holes and what kinds of combinations of things it might take to do that? Because I don't know how fair it is to ask one guy to fill one of those spots, given what those guys have meant to this program.
You know, just looking back on it in 2020 in that COVID year, that was a lot of those guys like Mason McCormick, Zach Hines. They had played some prior to that, but they had very similar rep count in games as what we have come returning. Honestly, we have more that have had game experience that are going to be returning and making an impact for us. So it's part of college football. We're a developmental program, and we're excited about who we have on this football team and what we feel like they can do for us. Because there's a lot of talent on this team. They just haven't had the opportunity because of who's in front of them. So I'm really excited for them and the opportunity that will present itself this fall, and we'll see how it shakes.
Offensively, obviously always helps to have an established signal caller, and you've got one of the very best in all college football and FCS football specifically. But Mark Gronowski, you know, I mean, you're going to limit a guy like that because you don't want to take any necessary chances with him during a spring season. But how has he helped with that transition and trying to acclimate some of those guys?
Yeah, I think Mark is just a great leader. He's well respected. He's a multi-year captain for us, and obviously he was voted the best FCS player in the country. So, you know, his voice carries weight here, and the guys really respect him. They work extremely hard, but he's done a really good job of getting a lot of the offensive skill players on the same page and then just pushing confidence in the development of the other leaders that are on that offense side of the football. So really excited to see his growth because he's taken another jump, and really proud of him. And just there's several guys on that offensive side that are going to have a breakout year for us.
Who are some of those guys that you figure are going to – people better get used to hearing those names?
I think everybody knows Amar Johnson. You know, he rotated with Isaiah Davis, and we always viewed him as a one, you know. And so he's going to get a lot of those carries, and the guy that replaces really that load as well is Angel Johnson. So Johnson in the backfield, and then we got Kirby Voorhees, Brendan Begeman, and we're really excited about the freshman class of running backs that are coming in. And then, you know, at wide receiver, we got Griffin Wilde returning. Graham Goring was a rotational starter for us last season. Kentrell Pergine, who's a little wide receiver out of Louisiana, who's probably one of the highlights this spring as far as being a dynamic player that we feel like it's early on, but I was here for a lot of years to see a lot of people come through, and he reminds me a lot of a young Cade Johnson, who is really special. And then at the tight end room, I feel very confident in the skill set. They just need reps. Davin Stoffel, redshirt freshman for us this year. He will have a huge impact. David Alpers, Brody Gormley, Kevin Brenner is a returner for us there. I feel really strong there. And then offensive line, we have some holes to fill, and we feel really confident about who's in the building. It's just they need reps, and they need to get, you know, the system and the communication under their belt, and that comes with practice, but it also comes with game experience. And so there may be some hiccups here and there, but we feel very confident in the overall team in order to have success.
On the defensive side, and I know that's your passion, certainly always has been, but Adam Bach, frustrating year for him last year, makes the decision to come back, has always been a huge part of this program in his time here, but given that situation personnel-wise on that side, feels like maybe he's even more important for your group as you move forward into the rest of this offseason.
Yeah, I feel like that's a group, too, that has a ton of experience that maybe isn't highlighted as much. Dayton McGoy's in that group, Graham Spalding's in that group, Aaron Kusfer's in that group. It just is, spearheaded by Adam, and that's what the world sees. And Adam is an unbelievable talent. He's a great leader. He's a great worker, and he's a pivotal part of our defense. He's has more reps than anybody probably in the country at that position right now. So really excited for him, and this being his last year. I know he wanted to end on a good note, and obviously last season ended in a national championship and having several huge plays in that game to impact it. But he has a dream that he wants to pursue, and this year's his last year to do it, and so I hope he can accomplish everything he set out to do.
You guys have always been so deep on the defensive side, rotationally, in terms of, especially with the defensive line, the amount of guys that you've been able to not just roll out there, but guys that you could count on to be highly, highly productive up front for you defensively. Those guys are the ones that really help set the tone for your group. Feel good about that spot as well?
I do. I mean, Jared DePriest is a multi-year starter for us that's returning. Max Balloon was a rotational starter for us. We have a young one in Bryce Hawthorne who I feel really good about in his development. Logan Green was in games last year and very well. He could have played last year with just the depth at those positions. He was like the 5 coming in. I feel good about the rotation. We rotate a lot of guys, right? So everybody can be at their best when they can step out there for their 3 to 4 reps and then rotate them like a hockey lineup. And at the DN position, we have Zach Wilson, Dawson Ruperta, who is a transfer from Northern Illinois, who showed a ton of flash last year. And I would say if, outside of the D-line, just secondary-wise, it's probably the most well-rounded secondary group that I've been a part of since I've been here. We didn't lose a safety. We lost an impact player in Dyshawn Gales. Mm-hmm. But we feel really good about the return of Dallas Beanham, who's a captain for us, and Stephen Arell, and we took transfer Colby Humphrey and Miles Taylor, and there's a ton of guys in that group that will make an impact. There are several guys in that group that are going to be chomping at the bit to get into games for sure.
I can't imagine, given all that you guys have accomplished over the last 2 years with 2 straight FCS national championships, that hunger is a real issue with this program right now. And as you wrap up spring and start to head into the summer, heading towards fall camp, what's the mood of this group, and how much are you going to be relying on those leaders you've mentioned here over the last few minutes to really carry that hunger through so that you're ready to roll when things get real again here late summer?
Yeah, I think we do a really good job here, just like resetting the players' focus. This is a different year, and it's a different team, just like last year was a different team than the year prior. And so our focus will be on Stillwater, Oklahoma, and really being locked in to being at our best when that comes. But it will be one practice at a time, one day at a time, and trying to develop the culture on this team to sustain and have the success that we want. I think we have the pieces in place to do it again, but it takes a lot of work. It takes consistency, and it takes being really aligned with the overall focus of the team. And I feel good about the leaders. They are a huge part of this. This has and will be a player-led team. I give a lot of autonomy to the type of players that we have as leaders to take control of what we want to become, and it has paid off.